All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my first Saturday stream. Sorry I pushed the time back a little bit. I had some stuff I wanted to take care of this morning. But it's great to be here with all of you, and I'm hoping that in the future, I can grow this and maybe have some input from all of you. So feel free to type questions in the chat at any point or comments, and I'll try to do my best to keep aware of what's going on and what people are saying if you have any questions. But let's go ahead and dive into the topic of today, what we wanted to talk about. So today we will be discussing 5 finance mistakes to avoid as a college student. And the reason I kind of thought of bringing up this topic in particular, in college it can feel like it's so hard to get ahead. At least I felt like there were all these things that I wanted to accomplish, and going through a degree in personal financial planning, I felt like there was all these things that I was learning about financial planning that I couldn't apply simply because I was in college. I wasn't making any money. I had, rent and school costs to worry about. And so that was frustrating. And I think more than trying to apply everything, all the big important money moves when you're in college, it can be better to focus on just avoiding the big mistakes. And that often will get you further ahead than a lot of your peers just by avoiding some of these common mistakes. And so mistake number 1, and I've listed all these in the description for this stream. I also have a few recommended books that I've enjoyed that are kind of some basic personal finance books. And mistake number 1, I would say, is getting into too much debt. So you go to college, you don't really have a plan. They offer student loans, and so you just take out the max amount and go through college. This is a mistake that I've seen. And then people get out of college, they have all this debt, they don't have a plan to pay it off, and they're saddled with this really burdensome thing that will follow them for a long time. And so it's important to not take on more debt than you can handle. So I would encourage you to think, when you're thinking about taking on student loan debt or any debt for that matter, what is your plan for paying it off? With the student loan especially, what is your expected income trajectory? What do you think that you'll be making in your given field, given the degree that you're getting? And are you likely to be able to repay those loans in a faster than normal time frame? Can you pay them off in the next 5 years after you graduate? Are your loan balances more than you're going to be earning? If you have $100,000 in student loan debt and you get a job that's $50,000 a year without much growth potential, then it's going to take you a really long time to pay off those loans, and it's going to be a burden. And then one other thing to help you with not taking on too much debt is don't be afraid to take on part-time work if you can handle it. This is something that I found for myself. Working part-time or doing a paid internship not only helped me to sustain myself financially through college, but it also helped me to increase my skills and really apply what I was learning in college to then make me more prepared for the workforce after college. So mistake number 1, don't get into too much debt, not more than you can handle. I'll go ahead and take a pause here. Looks like no comments. If anyone has a comment that they'd like to leave, go ahead and leave that in the chat. Moving on to step number 2. Don't ruin your credit. Unfortunately, we think the small little mistakes that we make in college won't have that big of an impact on our lives. But I've heard too many horror stories of people that they get some card at a retailer when they're 18 years old, first into college. They put 50 bucks on it and they forget about it and don't pay it off. And it severely negatively affects their credit. Something that they're working on to rebuild in their 30s and 40s when they're trying to do bigger things like buy a car or buy a house or things that you really need financing for. And so this can be avoided, I think, just by being intentional and aware of your credit score. So I recommend getting an app like Credit Karma, or a lot of times your banking apps will have a credit monitor so you can just check in and get a basic credit card. Get a college card, buy your weekly groceries on it, and then pay it off in full every month. I have, more videos on my channel about that video if you are more interested in that topic. But I would say it's important to start building your credit while you're in college, and that can be as easy as just getting a college credit card and managing it well. It doesn't have to be too complicated. All right, mistake number 3 to avoid is not starting to save. And I know that it can be very difficult to think about saving when maybe you're taking on student loan debt or things are really tight, it's hard to budget. And I think this is more of a habit than an amount. So I myself fell into this trap in college where I thought, I can't save any money. I hardly have any money as it is. And so I wouldn't save any money, and I was just break even every month. And I realized that was a good place to be. I was very fortunate to be even breaking even instead of going deeper into a hole of debt. But I think I could have started the habit of saving at that point, even if it was just $5-10 a month. And I think having that habit will help you once you get out of college to say, I need to save 10% of my income, or I need to save 20% of my income. And you already have that habit that automatically every month or every paycheck you're saving X amount, and you can just increase that. And so I think in college, even though the amount might be small, it's important to start building the habit of saving while you're going to school. And then, all right, moving on to mistake number 4 to avoid while you're in college is thinking that you'll figure out finances later. So this is another mistake that I've had in my own life and that I've seen others make, is thinking, well, this personal finance stuff is too complicated, and I'll just figure it out after college. Right now I'm trying to focus on my studies. I don't have time to learn about income taxes, to learn about car insurance and medical insurance, to learn about retirement savings. I'm sure someone will explain that to me along the way. And unfortunately, what I have found is that people don't explain it to you. They might, you might get hired on at a company and they'll give an annual review of your medical benefits and your 401k, but they don't take the time to figure out a plan for what's best for your life. And a lot of times that burden falls on you, yourself. And so I recommend take some time. Your financial education can totally change the trajectory of your life and help you avoid a lot of undue stress and worry just by having a plan and getting it figured out. So it is well worth the time it takes to read a few books, subscribe to a blog and follow the poster, talk to a financial expert that you know. And this, you have to be careful with this, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in this stream. But I've linked below, or I've named below a few general personal finance books that I've found helpful for myself, and just get started and find, you know, a love for learning. And even if you don't love learning about finances, it's something that will benefit you for the rest of your life. And I would say first, you probably want to focus on learning about insurance, investing, and income taxes. So the 3 I's: insurance, investing, and income taxes, because those will probably have the biggest impact the soonest in your life. So take some time and learn about those things. And then the 5th mistake to avoid, and the final mistake, is just learning from and trusting the wrong sources. So I know this might seem kind of contradictory to what I just said in the 4th mistake to avoid, about figuring out your finances later and taking action to learn now. But far too often, myself included, we find sources that we trust for one thing, and then just generally apply that we should trust them for all things. So a kooky example of this is like, would you go to your doctor and ask your doctor for advice on, you know, what stocks to buy? That seems a little off. Even though you would trust your doctor to give you great medical advice because they've gone through medical school, they've had years of training in the field, that doesn't mean that you should have a blanket trust for all advice that they give you. And this gets especially complicated with families. You know, families have our best interests in mind in an ideal situation, and they will try and look out for you, and they try and give you advice. And it is most often well-intentioned advice, but isn't necessarily what's best for your situation. So this is another thing where the burden kind of falls on you to vet the advice that people are giving you, and figure out if it truly is the best or not. And unfortunately, in the personal finance world, there's a new guru every week. I mean, myself included. I just popped on the internet and decided to start making a YouTube channel about personal finances. And, you know, you may not know me, and you may not know why you can trust me. And so I would encourage you even to vet the things that I say on my channel. Check some other resources. Make sure that this is something reputable from different reputable sources. And one of the biggest things is results. You want to see results. So places like Vanguard is a great research company, Morningstar, that they do research and they put it out, financial research that shows results. You know, Vanguard has kind of changed the industry a little bit because they help people see if you just invest to try and follow the whole stock market instead of picking stocks here and there or having active management, a lot of times your returns are better. And that's kind of counterintuitive to our human nature and how we like to think about things. But the results were in the research. The research showed that index investing earned investors greater returns. And isn't that really what investors care about? Is just getting the best return possible over time? And so check your research, check your data, check your personal experience. You know, try something out, and if it's not working after a couple months, maybe reevaluate and see if there's something better, or if it was bad advice, or maybe you're not applying it in the right way. And don't just implicitly take advice from people that you trust and trust them on everything. And yeah, so those were the 5 steps or 5 mistakes to avoid while you're in college. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I think it's hard to make huge money moves that will set you up for, having millions of dollars while you're in college, just because your income potential is fairly limited. But if you can avoid mistakes that will set you back really far, then once you're out of college, once your earning potential is growing, then you can get ahead a lot faster by not starting so far behind. And I'll go ahead and hop into the chat. It looks like we haven't had any comments so far. So this is a learning experience for me. I felt like I was neglecting this channel, and so I wanted to try a live stream to see if, maybe a little bit less time editing and everything would allow me to make more videos because of my busy schedule with the new job and living in Seattle. And so please let me know what you thought of this live stream, if this is a good idea and something that you would appreciate. If there are future live streams that you want to hear from, leave them in the comments below. And I'll go ahead and end for this week, but it was great making this video, and I appreciate anyone who watches after the fact, or the people that popped on during my live stream. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.